it on record if you guys are ready. Okay, it is Wednesday, March 21st, 2012. This is bargaining session number 9 between the city and IAFF Local 747. At the end of 8, the city kind of just established that it was at best and final, and if I recall your last words, Mike, you guys wanted to check with council on a few things and perhaps even think about proposals or something along those lines. So I'll just turn it over to you and see what you have today.
Okay. Today, basically what we have for you, and I'll go through it. I'll give a copy to your side, is a best and final on our side. Give it to you, and we'll go over it.
Do you need one?
I've got one. Make sure I've got mine. 2, 3, 5. Perfect. Oh, sure.
We never did the old number.
Yes. The first one on the list, 2-year contract, in place of the 3 with the 0% GWI for 2012 and 2% for 2% GWI for 2013, and that basically the 0% GWI 2012 would the MOU for the 5 to 7 years we feel would make up for the no raise for the 2012. The status quo on pension article. Now these article numbers are what the status quo shows. Right. The new ones, the new proposals have different numbers. So
no problem there.
These are the status quo.
No problem there.
Status quo on the drug-free workplace, which the status quo article obviously is Article 28. And the reasoning for the status quo on the drug-free workplace, we feel that even now at the state level, with Governor Scott and the issues with state employees, there's some issues going on with their employees at that level, and it's going to more than likely go before the, I believe it's the Florida Supreme Court for a reading to see where that plays out. Status quo on the physicals. And we did talk about the additional vacation slot for firefighter paramedic from 2 to 3 per shift, and that was going to be worked out off the table as well. But we just wanted to reiterate on that. And I still have the MOU for the drop extension for 5 to 7 years. And you have a copy of it. Yep. I'm sure I've given you more than one.
Got it right here.
And that's where we're at, our best and final.
Okay.
And also, I don't know if it's on. Yes, it is. I did hit on the status quo on the pension. Okay.
Right. Okay. Well, the city's, as you know, was at best and final as well, and we're not going to deviate from that too. I appreciate you giving me this, though. It appears though we do have, some differences, obviously, but the city is not interested in moving from its best and final from 2 or 3 sessions ago. Okay. So, but I do want to comment on a few of these things. One of them actually, with regard to the vacation slot, Bob, were you able to do any work on that? I know it's only been a week.
Yeah, no, the chief was wanting us to look at reallocating the current slots, okay, not an additional slot, was what he was looking at.
To make it fair.
To make it more equitable for the paramedics.
Okay.
But he asked that we look at the current slots that we have and see if we can switch those slots around, rather than adding an additional slot.
And I'm not trying to put any pressure on you. Any ETA on that?
From us. So you want to see what the...
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we could, about a week, is that fair?
Yeah, just really wanted an update, because we thought that was something that just, you weren't here.
Right.
That if it was just something as simple as that, just reallocating to make it fair to everyone, isn't something they needed to bargain for.
Right. He said he was willing to do that.
Just want to do.
Right.
To make it fair to everyone. So,
well,
okay.
and just add to that, it's pretty straightforward with the number of slots. I'd encourage the union to do the same thing, brainstorm with the slots and share what they think their preferences would be for how to appropriately allocate.
Yep. Okay, and I also do want to comment on the MOU for the drop. I do have yours here, and the city's position is that the drop extension is part of the package. But if that is something that is a priority right now, the city would also be interested in then just swapping MOUs, do an MOU to go from 5 to 7 years on the drop, if the union would sign off on making the drug-free workplace as was last proposed, the language on the random drug testing. But it would also include the 8 hours time off for anyone that would be selected. You'd also get to get out of jail free for the one time. So it was all the things that were on the table. But that's something for us to consider as MOUs rather than tying it to a package if you want to do that. So I'll leave that to you to decide. But as I said before, then really the only where we're left then is really just best and finals on both sides with obvious differences.
Okay, I'm just going to call a quick caucus if I may.
Sure.
Look at this.
Sure.
And, probably 5 minutes.
Oh, okay, we'll just go across the call.
That's fine.
Okay, it's 10 after 2. We'll see you in a few minutes then.
Me.
Johnny's trying to fool it. He's wearing work
I
boots.
was talking about this earlier. Once a year I fly out of town and it never fails. I always put on a pair of boots that you got to tie up. And then you get to the airport.
So he's happy
and
today?
take them off.
Oh, yeah.
This is me off every time. This is me off every
So
time.
I have to take them off anyway?
Is he going into
I wear
church?
my work boots, which is the side with the
Nothing
steel
new.
toe. Gotta take them off anyway.
He wants to hit you a little bit. You know, they say that they get frustrated and they swing away a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all think, yeah, music stop playing.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay, we're back from the caucus, back on record.
Apologize for the length. We extended our 5
We have
minutes.
pizza.
Yeah, with.
Some crust?
At this time, on this, we're basically going to appreciate the offer, but not at this time.
Not surprised.
Our stance right now is going to take probably a week after talking with counsel, or legal counsel the last couple times too, and the team. We're going to spend a couple times talking with City Council on these issues. One last basically effort, and from there it will go to a vote. We'd like to meet again April 11th for the final, but that's going to give the negotiating team to.
What day of the week is that?
It's a Wednesday. In the afternoon is fine. We're going to be out of town all next week, so we leave Sunday and we'll be out until Friday next week in DC. So that's going to handcuff us for that week.
Anyone here have, on this team, problem with April 11th that you know of?
I think so.
Okay.
2 p.m.
Sure, let's do that,
Okay.
April 11th, 2 p.m. I'll try to get this room.
Okay.
And are there,
Go ahead.
I just want to understand the purpose of this again.
Well, we're looking at the offer that we presented to you as far as the status quo and a handful of things, and we feel it's reasonable, and we just want to make sure all our efforts are exhausted to attempt to get the best contract for our members.
Okay, so essentially, the city gets nothing. It doesn't get physicals, it doesn't get random drug testing, it doesn't have reopeners for FY13. You get 2% for 13, you get closed pension, you get additional slot for a firefighter, and you get the 7-year job. So it's a very, that seems to me a very one-sided, decidedly one-sided contract. I don't know that I would apply the word reasonable to that, but that's just me. Is there anything else that is holding this up? Anything else that you think is an issue that the members just don't understand about the offer?
Not at this time.
And the reason I say that is we have heard rumors that first, most of the members think the city's bluffing on the 5 to 7 year drop. And I assure you it's best and final for a reason. We're not going to renege on
I
that.
haven't heard that.
Okay.
Me personally, I haven't.
Okay, well, good, then I'll drop that.
I mean, I don't know about the rest of my team, but I haven't heard that from anybody.
Now, with regard to the pension reopener, there was the argument that we had heard, and you may or may not have heard it yourself, is that why would members vote the contract in that has a reopener for the pension when that's something that the city could bargain to impasse and get imposed upon them? And that part is correct, that it could be imposed if it's open and the city wanted to make changes. The one thing you have to recognize is it's highly unlikely that any changes to the pension would even affect any current members. It most likely would be a prospective thing applied to new hires coming in. I can't say that for a fact, but there is actually no plan right now on the table, or even in discussions about doing anything with the pension for 2013. So I just want to make sure that is out there, it's on record, to squash that if members think that's a problem.
Right. I know I've shared that concern with you before, you know, about that reopener on that issue. So,
but also keep in mind that by extending these negotiations on and delaying them and always coming up with some excuse why you're not even taking it back for a vote, you're essentially leaving the pension article open, which if you let enough time go by, we're going to be in FY13, and you're still facing that same issue. The city could at some point decide it wanted to make changes, and unless you take some action to close it up or do something, just leaving it open, you also leave yourself vulnerable to something imposed by council. So I just think, again, that's something that your members should be aware of, and we want to make sure that there's accurate information out there. And then last, and I'll be brief, I'll shut up and we'll go on our way, is the third and final rumor was that it's the idea that imposing random drug testing on employees is unconstitutional. I've heard that floating around, that everyone seems to, the members seem to think that the city couldn't do that even if it wanted to, or council couldn't do it even if it wanted to. And just so that everyone's working from the same page, I think you might want to review this. It's an analysis, court cases, research that was done, and it's kind of an independent thing. It's not just court cases. It's not something put out by the League of Cities or anything like that. This is just a legal analysis of the Fourth Amendment right that employees have with regard to drug-free workplace. And you can see that it's certainly not a slam dunk, that it's unconstitutional. In fact, if anything, it leans toward courts leaning towards it being constitutional. It is something that we could do. So again, just to make sure that your members are getting accurate information, I would suggest you guys take a run at that and even make copies, pass that around to members who might not understand the issue.
Sure.
So that's all I want to say about that.
I don't have any preconceived notion about whether they could or couldn't. I don't have a thorough enough understanding about the issue
Well, that might actually help.
I'm just saying, I don't go around telling people that you can't do it, because I'm not aware, what'll stand up and won't. So,
Yeah, we rely on legal counsel for that, I think.
All right, well then, I'm done yapping for now. So we'll agree to meet April 11th,
2 o'clock.
2 p.m. and hopefully wrap this up at that time. So
Sounds good.
we'll close this 2:55. Thanks.
You're about to get a little